I was standing in my cousin's pristine white kitchen, holding a glass of champagne I hadn't taken a sip from, when my phone buzzed in my clutch. The engagement party was in full swing around me, laughter echoing off marble countertops, the warm smell of catered hors d'oeuvres filling the air, everyone dressed in their finest spring pastels. I pulled out my phone expecting a text from my husband asking when I'd be home. Instead, I saw a group chat notification. Family Planning Committee. 37 members. And the newest message, sent just 4 minutes ago, was from my Aunt Carol. We need to discuss the Maya situation. She showed up tonight in that dress, and I'm mortified. We can't keep inviting her to events. She's actively embarrassing this family. Her behavior is getting worse, and I think we all need to agree to stop including her until she gets her act together. My fingers went numb. The champagne glass felt like it weighed 20 pounds. Maya. That was me. I scrolled up with shaking hands and saw 6 messages I'd somehow missed while getting ready, while driving over, while walking in with my gift bag and my nervous smile. Aunt Carol had started the thread 3 hours earlier. Is Maya really wearing a sequined mini dress to an engagement party? Someone needs to have a conversation with her about appropriate attire. My cousin Jessica had replied. I didn't want to say anything, but yeah, it's a lot. Uncle David. She's always been a bit much. Remember Christmas? My own mother had written. I've tried talking to her. She doesn't listen. I looked down at my dress. Royal blue sequins, knee-length, 3/4 sleeves. I'd bought it specifically for tonight because my cousin had said the party was semi-formal and I wanted to look nice, wanted to feel confident for once. The price tag had made me wince, but I justified it because these were the people who were supposed to love me. 37 people in my family had just read that I was an embarrassment. 37 people now knew that behind my back, they'd been discussing whether I deserved to be included anymore. I had no idea that this group chat would lead me to discover a secret my family had been keeping for 28 years, or that my Aunt Carol's cruelty was actually the kindest thing anyone had done for me in my entire life. I slipped out the side door into the garden before anyone could see my face. The April air was cool against my flushed cheeks, and my hands were still shaking as I sat on a stone bench behind a rose trellis. I kept scrolling through the chat, and with every message, the ground underneath me felt less solid. This wasn't just about tonight. The chat history went back 6 months. To Thanksgiving, when apparently I'd laughed too loudly. To my mother's birthday dinner, when I'd worn jeans because she told me it was casual and I'd been called underdressed and clueless by 3 different relatives. To Christmas, when I'd brought a homemade dessert instead of buying something from the expensive bakery everyone else used. Aunt Jessica had written, "Bless her heart, she's really struggling financially, isn't she?" They'd been documenting my failures for months. My clothes, my laugh, my gifts, my career as a teacher, my weight, the car I drove, the neighborhood I lived in. 37 members of my family had been participating in or silently watching this ongoing destruction of me, and not one of them had thought to tell me. My phone buzzed again. Aunt Carol, I'm serious about this. Next month is my daughter's wedding, and I don't want Maya there. She'll find a way to make it about herself. My cousin Rachel agreed. Maybe we just stop sending her invites. My mother, she's my daughter. I can't just exclude her. Aunt Carol, then you don't come either, Linda. I'm drawing a line. I stared at those words until they blurred. My own mother was being given an ultimatum. Choose the family or choose me. And sitting there in that dark garden with my embarrassing sequin dress catching the moonlight, I already knew which one she'd choose. Because looking back at my entire life through this new lens, I realized she always had. I was the youngest cousin by 4 years. The surprise baby my mother had at 42. And I'd spent my whole childhood trailing behind the older kids at family barbecues, desperate to be included, grateful for any scrap of attention. I showed up to everything, every birthday, every holiday, every minor milestone. Even when my teaching salary meant eating ramen for a week after buying a wedding gift, even when my anxiety made social situations feel like drowning. I showed up because that's what our family did. Because my grandmother had raised her 5 children to believe that family was everything, that blood was thicker than any problem. But now I was holding proof that I'd been showing up to a gathering that never wanted me there in the first place. What I didn't know yet was that my mother had been keeping me at arm's length for a reason that had nothing to do with sequin dresses and everything to do with a choice she made when I was 3 years old. I didn't go back inside. I texted my husband James to pick me up, told him I was sick, and spent the drive home in complete silence. When we got home, I did something I'd never done before. I started scrolling back through every family photo, every text chain, every social media post from the last 5 years. And the pattern was everywhere. Photos from family events where I was cropped out or positioned at the edge. Birthday posts for other cousins that got 50 comments while mine got 7. That time I'd organized my grandmother's 80th birthday party, spent 2 months planning every detail, and Aunt Carol had posted pictures thanking the family without mentioning my name once. It had always been there. I'd just been too desperate to belong to see it. By 3 in the morning, I decided I was done. No more showing up. No more trying. I was going to disappear from their lives and let them throw their perfect parties without me. But then I made a mistake. I posted something vague on my Instagram. Sometimes you discover the people you die for wouldn't even cross the street for you. Within 2 hours, my mother called. Not to apologize. Not to ask if I was okay. To scream at me for airing family business and making her look bad. When I told her I'd seen the group chat, she went quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. "Maya, you have to understand. We were trying to help you. You don't see how you come across to people." I hung up on her. For the first time in 31 years, I hung up on my mother. That's when my cousin Emma messaged me. "I should have told you about the chat. But you need to know, your mom is the one who asked Carol to create it. She was worried about you and didn't know how to talk to you directly." My mother had orchestrated the entire thing. She'd wanted 37 people discussing my flaws behind my back rather than having one honest conversation with me. When I called Emma, she told me my mother had been complaining about me to the family for over a year. That she told everyone I was having some kind of crisis, spending recklessly, dressing inappropriately, acting out for attention. "But Emma," I said, "none of that is true." The silence lasted too long. "Maya, your mom showed US bank statements from your account. She said you gave her access because you needed help managing finances." I had never given my mother access to my accounts, but she had my social security number, my birthday, my mother's maiden name, all the security questions. I logged into my banking app immediately. Everything looked normal at first, but then I saw a linked account at the bottom I didn't recognize. An account opened 4 months ago in my name. The balance was negative $8,000. Someone had opened a credit line using my information, maxed it out, and let it go into collections. The charges were made at stores near my mother's house on dates when I had alibis proving I was nowhere near there. My mother had committed identity theft against me, then used that fraud to convince my entire family I was the problem. But when I confronted her with bank statements and police reports, she didn't deny it. She looked me in the eye and said, "You owe me this, after what you took from me." I met her at a coffee shop 2 days later. Neutral ground. James came with me. She came alone. I slid the bank statements across the table. Showed her the credit report, the police report I'd already filed. Told her this was her one chance to explain before I pressed charges. She looked at the papers for a long time, then pushed them back and folded her hands like we were discussing the weather. "You were 3 years old. Do you remember the car accident?" I did, vaguely. Bright lights. Hospital smells. My grandmother crying. I'd been told a drunk driver hit us. That I'd been in the back seat. That I was lucky to survive with just a broken arm. "You weren't supposed to be in the car," my mother said, her voice completely flat. "I was taking your sister to dance class. You threw a tantrum because you wanted to come. I gave in." The coffee shop sounds disappeared. I'd never had a sister. Her name was Lily. She was 7. Perfect, talented, beautiful. Everything I'd ever wanted. And she died on impact because I swerved to protect you in the back seat. The drunk driver hit her side of the car. The doctor said if I'd swerved the other way, she would have lived and you would have died instead. James grabbed my hand under the table. I made a choice in half a second. My mother continued, and I saved the wrong child. Every birthday you celebrated, every milestone you reached, it was all bought with Lily's death. The family knows. They've always known. They watched me bury my real daughter and pretend the replacement was enough. She stood up, collecting her purse. You want to know why Carol is cruel to you? Why none of them want you around? Because every time they look at you, they see the child who should have died. So yes, I took money from you. You've taken far more from me. You owe me a debt you can never repay. She walked out. I sat there unable to move, unable to breathe. My entire existence recontextualized into one horrible truth. I was alive because my mother made a split-second decision she'd regretted every single day since. That night, I found the photos. Pictures I'd seen my whole life without anyone explaining who the dark-haired girl was. Lily in dance costumes, blowing out birthday candles, holding a baby in one photo that I now realized was me. They'd erased her from the narrative, but kept her ghost alive in their treatment of me. I pressed charges. My mother was arrested, pleaded guilty, served 6 months. The family fractured. Half cut me off for destroying her, half sent quiet apologies I mostly didn't answer. I haven't spoken to my mother in 3 years. She sends letters sometimes. I don't open them. And here's the thing that keeps me up at night. Aunt Carol's cruelty in that group chat was actually the most honest thing anyone in my family had ever given me. She didn't want me there because she couldn't pretend anymore. None of them could. I was the living reminder of the daughter they'd actually loved. The one they buried. The one I replaced without ever knowing I was a replacement at all. If you're still here with me, thank you for listening. Sometimes strangers hear us better than family ever could. If you've ever felt like you were always trying to earn love that should have been free, you're not the problem. I promise. I'm building a new life now. One where I'm not a replacement or an embarrassment or a debt. Just Maya. And that blue sequin dress? I still have it. I wear it when I need to remember their shame was never mine to carry. Your story deserves to be told too. Leave a comment, subscribe, and help the telling tree grow. Together, we create a forest where every voice matters.